we just find out in this structure there's a lot of paths. The four of us all take different routes. So this is the top. They have a big stone tower and you can write your name down there. So this is the pictures of showing peak 3 and 3.1. You see 3.1 is very small and points to the peak 4 and 3.5. Looking down the valley on the northwest side of the Dolomites and this cirque peak, and this is column of the peak 2. Hello everyone, I think a lot of people have heard of the Dolomites in Banff National Park. So in the next half hour, I'm going to explain the technical details of my personal experience, how to do the scrambling in Dolomites. So let's begin. There's first some disclaimer from myself. So first, the content is solely based on my personal understanding and experience. It is for informational purpose and should not be taken as professional advice. Use this information at your own risk. I'm not responsible for any outcomes, loss, or issues that may arise from using or relying on this material. So here is the outline. What's the purpose and the general information of the Dolomites scrambling? And the structure of the Dolomites, and the most important, the peak description. So let's talk about the purpose of the scrambling Dolomites. I find out YouTube information is not fully complete because some of the YouTubers seems to describe these activities as an easy task. So I even see people put their hands in the pockets just to get to the top. And in fact, this is a very difficult scrambling, including to do bad route finding and your personal strength and endurance. I will say 40% of this whole trip is scrambling up and down. The second is the GPS tracking information I find is not up to date. The third reason is no one mentioned how to get down, and also no geography information of this mountain. Now let's talk about the general information. The Dolomites is a group of mountains, and the peak 4 is 2782 is the most high. If you look at the all trail information, this one is 7.4 kilometers out and back with over 1000 meters elevation gain. But in fact, there's a pass in the valley that is 2.2 kilo and with 150 meters elevation gain to the base. So if you just do the math, that is in 1.5 horizontal distance, you have to do elevation gain of 900 meters. That is roughly average steep rate of 31 degrees. When you do triple of this whole mountain, it's a non-stop climbing experience. These pictures shows the Dolomites taken from the bow peak across the valley. So you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right now, if you just do scrambling, only 3 and 4 are scrambable. 4 is the high, and the yellow line shows the valley that you go all the way up. In order to better describe this mountain, I divided this mountain into 7 rock bands. This picture was taken from the cirque peak. And if you look at here, the whole structure, roughly there are 7 bands with the foot base. So if you look at here, this is the foot, and above that is lower 1, 2, 3 bands. And you keep going up, that goes to the whole castle structure. The 4 is the base of this castle, and the 5, 6, 7 is up 3 bands. This is another picture taken from the east side of the Helen Lake Trail or Cirque Peak Trail. You can find out the 7 rock bands plus the foot band. The foot band is a tree line. You will see the trees here. It's just like elephant foot. And the band 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 7 is the peak band. And if you look at the peak, the 3, and also a little bit lower, there's a 3.1. And along with 4, there's 3.5. The yellow line shows the path that you go all the way up from the valley, and you turn from the second band, and all the way take the right side of the band 4, and eventually you meet the 2 gullies from band 5 and band 6, and eventually you reach to the top of band 7, peak 4, 3, 3.1, 3.5. When you come down, You go pretty much all the original paths, and once you end of the band 4, you can squeeze down all the way to the tree lines. As you can see, band 4 is very long, its color is gray, and it's from this line until to this line. My understanding is this middle layer, band 4, which supports as a structure of this whole castle, is a very terrible band because this is just layered rocks, erosion rocks covered with all the sands. It's very hard to get up and also especially come down because you cannot squeeze down, you will hit those layered rocks. The best observation viewpoint is on Hidden Lake Trail or Cirque Peak Trail, East Point. The foot band is almost 1/3 of this whole trip. Band 1 and 2, there's some giant steps. You need to scramble it up. When you reach band 2 here, and you have to take the left route because here there's a giant step. You will find that in later picture. There's an iconic pinnacle here, and you turn left. And once you turn left, you continue to band 3. In fact, band 3 is pretty much all gone. You cannot see, there's only one rock left exposed. There are mainly the red sand. So in general, after you finish band 4, you can take the path all the way squeeze down to the tree lines. So now it's the pictures when you enter into the valley. You will see peaks 3 and 4 in the sky, and that is the valley you go all the way up between 3 and 4. Once you are in the foot band, you may or may not hit this big rock. Here, as I show here in the tree line, halfway here, you can see these big rocks. You don't have to go up. You just take the left routes up, take a detour, that's it. If you just take this tree line path up, you probably won't see these big rocks. And the first band start once you see those giant steps. They are here when you pretty much finish the tree lines. And the first band continues. There's lots of those giant stones, and you just keep scrambling yourself up. As you can see, this is our team here way up. And what you see here, this is the band 4 column. So once you see this iconic pinnacle stone, you know you are in the second band. Here there's a giant step. You may or may not going up, but definitely it's very hard to come down. So the best is just to take the left routes, just take a small detour here. Now you hit the third band. The third band is pretty much all gone. It's just erosion, the sand. And there's only one big rock left you can see after those erosions. The third band, you can see the Google satellite map. It's all the red sand. After you finish the red sand, you will see the gray sand. So now we hit into band 4, the middle band. The middle band, as you can see here from far, there's still one big column left. You just take the right, you can see roughly here, you take the path, take the right, and all the way scramble up. As I mentioned before, this is a very terrible band because this layered rocks with sands covered. Now you hit band 5. The band 5 here is short, but it's a very steep gully. And until there's a small transition point, and you will hit band 6, the big long gully too. Once you finish band 6, you reach the path here between 3 and 4, and now you reach the base, basically to all the peaks. Now it's the summit time. You find your path all the way to reach peak 4, 3.5, 3.1, or 3. As I mentioned, the band 4 starts with color gray. This is a detailed pictures. You can see that the stones are suddenly becomes gray. The fourth band has a big column remain. It's just here this big column remained. The fourth band is also a very long band with layered rock covered with sands. You just scramble up is okay, but get down is very hard because there's no pattern of the height and also the layout of the rocks, and there's very slippery, very time consuming of come down. The band 5 starts when you see those big stones up. So now you are entering to the castle. After small transition debris between 5 and 6, you see that the debris, you enter the gate to the band 6. The band 6 has a very terrible long gully. Just follow the east wall up. or just on your way right if you plan to do the peak 4 first. But I will recommend to do peak 4 first because the wall on the left is even smoother than on the right. Now you get to the pass between 3 and 4. Now you are at the base of band 7. As you can see, those are the pictures when we try to reach the final pass. It's very, very steep and not too many grasp when you try to scramble up. This is the support of my YouTube channel information. If you're interested in my channel, please subscribe, sum up, or leave your comments to show your support. Thank you. Let's continue. Now it's the peak information. The first one to conquer is peak 4 because peak 4 is harder than peak 3. How it looks like? So then the route explain. The first picture is to explain peak 3.5 and peak 4. On the left of the picture is the pass when we reach to the band 7. We just find out in this structure there's a lot of paths. The 4 of us all take different routes. So someone takes this yellow line, someone takes this, someone takes this. Looks like we can all reach to this merging point. After the merging point, or get around the cliff and all the way scramble up. Looks like even the band 7, they have 3 layers. So you can first get to the platform here, you take a rest, then waiting for your team members to come up because it's very important. Otherwise, the rolling stone will hit your team member. If your team member try to get closer, the rolling stone damage is not as hard as when they're at the bottom. So now at the base of here, you continue to this base, then finally you reach to top of the peak. You can also take a simple path here to reach peak 3.5. This is the pictures showing from the column. You see that we take all kinds of paths, and this is just showing the paths. You see here, it just give you examples how it looks like. And the final picture here is the final scrambling that before you reach to the top. So this is the top. They have a big stone tower and you can write your name down there. And this is the picture on the north side of the Dolomites. Dolomite structure is just like triangle, and this is just some of the remaining on the north side. And this is the climbing information of the 3.5. As you can see here, you can just step it up and take a picture from 3.5. The picture was taken from peak 4 and showing 3.5. And you see here, this little bump here, this is 3.1. And this is the peak 3, and this is Cirque Peak, and this is Crystal Ridge here. Those are the pictures showing climb down from peak 4. You see the column come down, all the way down, and all the way down until you reach that base surrounding the column and get to the pass between 3 and 4. So now it's the time for peak 3. Compared to 4, this is an easy one. This picture just show you from far, and from bottom, in fact, you only see one peak. You will not see peak 3.1. The underneath of peak 3 has a big platform. This platform is a big bump. When you see from the bottom, this one is hiding the peak 3.1. So this is the pictures of showing peak 3 and 3.1. You see 3.1 is very small. There is no connection from 3.1 to 3. You have to get rid of the 3.1 from this path column between 3 and 4. Follow this yellow line all the way, find a small trench here, and go all the way up to reach number 3. And you can see this is 3.5 and 4. This is a relationship of all of them. Now these pictures show when you finish peak 4, you have to get across this big trench, the gully. You have to cross this big gully in order to reach the other group of 3. So once you reach the 3, you see this path is leading you surrounding that 3.1 and get to the peak 3. We just did the 3.1 just for curious. It is doable. You just take this path up and reach top of the 3.1, then come down. But as I said, this is not peak of 3. And once you come down, or if you don't go up, you keep going and surrounding this column and get to the side of it. And when you circle around, you will hit some rocks just like this. It's hanging rocks. And you see this is a yellow line, and this hanging rock is annoying. You have to crawl yourself under to get rid of this path. Once you finish the surrounding, and you will see this gully, and you reach the base of this path. This is another picture showing, you see that is the path surrounding this column. You see that is the overhang. There's another overhang here. But anyway, it is manageable. We go all the way up to the pass between 3 and 3.1. So after you reach the pass, there's a very giant steps. You have to pull yourself up in order to get to the peak 3. So once you get rid of the giant step, you continue to reach to the top. So now this is the landscape of the peak 3. You can see the big column of peak 2, and in the background, this is Cirque Peak. This is the picture taken from peak 3 to show the structure of peak 3.5 and peak 4. And this is the pass between 3 and 4. And this is another picture showing 3.1 and 3.5. Okay, this is the valley of the north side of the Dolomites. As you can see, this is part of the branches of the Dolomites on the north side, and this is a big valley here, and the points to the peak 4 and 3.5. And in the remote, I think that one covered with ice is Hector. And on the side, this is just a bow peak. Looking down the valley on the northwest side of the Dolomites, and this Cirque Peak, and this is column of the peak 2. Okay, now it's time to come down. When you come down, you follow the same path. You first go down and reach the small pass between 3 and 3.1, and also continue going down, and eventually we will walk towards the path between 3 and 4. Now come to the most important part, is how to get down. I will say it is much challenging and dangerous to come down than scramble up, because the gully of the rock band 6 and also the gully of rock band 5, they are very steep. So the strategy I think we find out, and also the cadence from other people shows, the band 6, we should take the step down, which is a detour on the east side. That is on the left side when you're facing down. The gully of band 5, you just use the wall to support yourself or hang yourself down, let your body slide. You'll come out of the band 5. Squeeze down of the band 5, I think, while high-level scramblers may be, but I think it's still very dangerous because the rock pieces is very big. And until you reach the middle band, band 4, which I said is layered rocks with covered sands, is very time-consuming to come down. Now let's see the pictures. This is the band 6. You see the gully. It's pretty much straight, so it's very dangerous to go down this way. And instead of go down this way, you should utilize those rocks. You see that? And all the way zigzag going down, instead of taking this gully straight down. This is the picture show all the passes. So you see that this is peak 3. You go all the way to the trench, and you reach the base of the pass 3 and 4. Same thing here. This is peak 4. You take down, and also you get to the point. This gully is very straight. Wow, you cannot. It's much better just to zigzag, detour, taking this one. Eventually, once you finish this line, there's a merging point, and you cannot get rid of that. You have to take the gully down all to the transition point between band 6 and band 5. Once you reach the bottom, you see up the gully. I think this is a very informational pictures to keep you in mind how to get down between band 6 and band 7. The next picture is showing the band 6 and 5. You see what it looks like. Band 6 has a very long gully, and once you get to transition point, gully 5 is okay. These some pictures showing band 6 and band 5 combined. This is look down from the band 6 and all the way down, and as I said, you have to hang yourself down all the way down, whatever you feel comfortable to support yourself down. And if you squeeze down here, well, I really don't know. Now you reach band 4. This is what I mentioned. There's a layered rocks, you see, covered with sands. It's terrible. Yeah, you have to use your knee muscle with the support of the sticks, walking sticks, to get yourself down. Band 4, look down. You see that? This is band 4 from the band 5. This is the column remaining. And from far, that is the tree line with the foot band. And this is the band 2. And band 3, as I mentioned, is the only exposed erosion rocks left. Let's continue, come down. Once you get rid of those castle band, I mean 4, 5, 6, 7, now you reach band 3. Band 3, I call it the golden band because it's very easy to squeeze down. But you have to keep in mind to turn to the right, which is west side, to avoid the giant steps of band 2. Remember, I mentioned there's an iconic pinnacle in the band 2. Then after that, you take the right route to squeeze down to the foot band, which is the tree line. See, that's the picture. So once you are in the band 3, you have to keep in mind you just squeeze down, follow those steps all the way to the right. If you just go down straight, good luck, you will hit that iconic rock, and with that big steps here, it's very hard to go down. So once you get to the band 2, you follow the way straight all the way down to the tree line. That's the end of it. Okay, that is the end of today's technical explanation of the scrambling in Dolomites and Banff National Park. Hope this information can help you in the future scrambling. So happy scrambling in a national park. And if you like this video, a thumb up or subscribe or leave your valuable comments to show your support. And thank you everyone for watching this tutorial. See you next time.